Have you ever stopped to think that maybe your entire life is a lie? That everything you call reality, your memories, your relationships, even your most intimate thoughts, is just part of an elaborate experiment? It sounds like something out of a dystopian thriller, but what if it's true? What if you're just a character in a much larger game, designed by hands you'll never see? Now imagine this. What if there's evidence of it right in front of your eyes? Movies like The Matrix didn't come out of nowhere. They're reflections of theories that scientists and philosophers have been debating for decades. What if our existence is just a digital simulation, created by an advanced civilization that observes us like rats in a maze? Even worse, what if they can intervene at any moment, changing the rules without you even noticing? But here's what really makes you think. What if this hypothesis isn't just speculation? Plato was already talking about this thousands of years ago with his allegory of the cave, where prisoners mistake shadows on the wall for reality. Are we trapped in a technological version of that cave? An illusion so perfect that we can't even see the chains that bind us? On the other hand, consider this. What if there are signs all around us? Small glitches in the system, like that persistent déjà vu or inexplicable coincidences. What if these glitches are clues intentionally left by the programmer? Or perhaps accidental, like bugs in poorly optimized software? Have you ever noticed something like that? What if these glitches are the first step toward awakening? Moreover, think about this. What if the technological evolution we're witnessing today isn't natural? Games like The Sims and increasingly immersive virtual worlds are showing us that creating hyper-realistic simulations is possible. But what if we're just prototypes for something much bigger? What if our very existence is just a beta version of a future simulation? Finally, reflect on this. What if you're not alone in this search for truth? What if there are others like you starting to question the nature of reality? Perhaps we're all connected, trapped in the same experiment, trying to unravel the secrets of the universe. But do we really want to know the truth? Because once we start doubting, there's no turning back. What if I told you that the chances of you living in a simulation are frighteningly high? It sounds absurd, but there's a mathematical argument behind it, one that might make your blood run cold. Imagine that advanced civilizations have the ability to create not just one, but billions of simulations. What if these simulations are so perfect that the characters inside them don't even realize they're trapped? Where does that leave you? Now think about this. If there are billions of simulations and only one base reality, the one we call true, what are the odds that you're in that single original reality? Almost zero. This means that statistically, it's far more likely that you're in a simulation. But here's what really sends shivers down your spine. What if the simulation is designed so you'll never discover the truth? What if your entire life is just an elaborate experiment orchestrated by something, or someone, that you can't even begin to imagine? But here's the sinister detail. What if there's more? Nick Bostrom, one of the leading figures in this field, suggests that if advanced civilizations can create multiple simulations, then it's almost certain that we're in one of them. What if these civilizations aren't human? What if they're completely alien entities, observing their creations like rats in a maze? Worse yet, what if they can intervene at any moment, altering the rules without you realizing it? On the other hand, consider this. What if the probabilities are wrong? What if the math we use to calculate our reality is part of the simulation itself? After all, how can we trust numbers and equations that may have been programmed to deceive us? Perhaps the physical constants of the universe, those that seem so precise, are just parameters adjusted by an invisible programmer. Have you ever questioned that? Moreover, reflect on this. What if you're part of a simulation within another simulation? What if there are layers upon layers of false realities, each designed to keep its inhabitants in the dark? This could explain many things like that persistent déjà vu or inexplicable coincidences. Are these glitches intentional clues or just errors in the code? Finally, one last question to leave you unsettled. What if the probabilities are correct and you really are in a simulation? What would you do with that information? Would you continue living as if nothing had changed, or would you start searching for answers, even if they're too dangerous to uncover? Because once you start questioning, there's no turning back. This second topic maintains the conspiratorial and mysterious tone, provoking doubts and creating a dense atmosphere. What do you think? Do you need additional adjustments before we move on to the next topic? What if science, the compass you've always trusted to understand the universe, is hiding secrets you're not ready to accept? Quantum physics, with its bizarre and inexplicable phenomena, might hold the key to uncovering a disturbing truth. What if our reality is just a carefully designed program? What if the laws of physics are code? Imagine this. In the double-slit experiment, subatomic particles change behavior depending on whether they're being observed. They act like waves when no one's looking, but transform into particles the moment they're measured. Does that sound logical? No. But what if this is evidence that our reality is processed in real time, like a video game that only renders graphics when necessary? What if there's something, or someone, tweaking the parameters while you observe? But here's what really chills the blood. What if these laws of physics are just programmed rules set by a cosmic designer? The physical constants of the universe, like the force of gravity or the speed of light, are so precise that even the slightest alteration would cause the cosmos to collapse. Coincidence? Or are these numbers carefully calibrated variables like lines of code in software? What if every atom, every ray of light, every human thought is part of a colossal computational system? On the other hand, consider this. What if there are flaws in this system? Experiments show that particles can pop into existence from nothing and disappear again, like bugs in poorly optimized software. Are these anomalies intentional clues left by the programmer? Or perhaps accidental errors that slipped out of control? If you've ever noticed something like that persistent déjà vu or inexplicable coincidences, does it mean the system is starting to fail? Moreover, reflect on this. What if the very concept of observation is a trap? In quantum physics, the presence of an observer directly influences the outcome of an experiment. This suggests that you're actively participating in creating the simulation. But are you doing it by choice? Or are you part of a larger experiment, where your consciousness has been hacked to help sustain this illusion? Finally, a question you may never have been told. What if scientists already know more than they're willing to admit? James Gates, a renowned physicist, discovered code similar to those used in software error correction in the fundamental equations of the universe. Why would that just be a coincidence? Are we being deceived by a scientific elite that knows the truth but prefers to keep it secret? Or are even they pieces on a much larger board? Are you ready to face the implications of this? Because once you start questioning, there's no turning back. What if that déjà vu you felt recently wasn't just a random glitch of the mind? What if it was a sign, a small crack in the veil separating you from the true nature of reality? It sounds like paranoia, but what if these glitches are clues intentionally left by the programmer of this simulation? Or perhaps, accidental errors that escape their control? Now imagine this. People report inexplicable events like the Mandela effect, where thousands swear they remember something that never happened. Like Nelson Mandela dying in the 1980s, when he lived until 2013. Collective coincidence? Or is this evidence of adjustments in the simulation, as if reality were being rewritten while you weren't looking? What if these discrepancies are windows to the truth, showing that something is wrong? But here's what really makes you tremble. What if these glitches aren't just passive, but intentional? Think about modern video games, where developers deliberately insert bugs to test players or create mysteries. What if our simulation is designed the same way, with planned glitches meant to make us question? What if that strange coincidence or vivid dream is the system's way of warning you that you're trapped in something much bigger? On the other hand, consider this. What if the glitches are signs of something even more sinister? Experiments show that subatomic particles can emerge from nothing and disappear again, like bugs in poorly optimized software. Are these anomalies flaws in the source code of reality? What if these glitches start increasing, small lapses no one can explain? Does it mean the system is about to collapse? Or is someone adjusting the variables while observing the consequences? Moreover, reflect on this. What if you've already noticed something like this? That moment when time seemed to stop for an instant? Or when you found a sequence of repeating numbers in different places? Is it just coincidence? Or is it part of a larger pattern, a hidden code that only some can perceive? What if these glitches are the first step toward awakening? Finally, a question that might keep you awake at night. What if these glitches are just the beginning? What if the system is starting to show its cracks, revealing that the illusion is unraveling? What would you do if you realized the reality around you is crumbling? Would you keep living as if nothing had changed, or would you start searching for answers, even if they're too dangerous to uncover? Because once you start questioning, there's no turning back. What if everything you see, feel, and experience, the entire vast three-dimensional cosmos, is just a projection? A holographic illusion encoded on a two-dimensional surface at the edge of the universe. It sounds absurd, but the holographic principle suggests exactly that our reality might be a kind of hologram, projected from information stored elsewhere. But here's what really chills the blood. What if that elsewhere isn't physical but digital? Imagine this. Black holes, those cosmic enigmas that swallow everything around them, don't completely destroy what they capture. Instead, they encode all the information on their surface like memories recorded on a hard drive. Now scale that idea up to the entire universe. Could we be living in a holographic simulation where everything, from galaxies to your most intimate thoughts, is processed from data encoded on an invisible layer? What if that layer is programmable? But here's the disturbing detail. What if there's someone tweaking that data? If the universe is a holographic projection, then who or what is doing the projecting? Some suggest it could be a superior intelligence, perhaps aliens, perhaps a future version of humanity. Or even worse, what if it's an advanced artificial intelligence, created to keep us trapped in this illusion without us realizing it? What if your entire existence is just a reflection on a distant screen, manipulated by invisible hands? On the other hand, consider this. What if the holographic principle is confirmation that we're in a simulation? After all, why would our universe be designed in such a specific way, like a system optimized to save computational resources? What if those perfectly calibrated physical constants are just programmed parameters, like lines of code in software? Have you ever stopped to think that maybe we've never left the digital cave? Moreover, reflect on this. What if space and time are just illusions generated by this system? Experiments show that entangled particles can communicate instantly, regardless of distance. This violates traditional laws of physics, but it makes sense if we consider that everything is interconnected in a universal code. What if spacetime is just a simplified interface, designed to make the simulation comprehensible to us? What if you're living in a colossal video game, but with graphics so advanced that you've never noticed? Finally, a question that might leave you uneasy. What if we can never access the source of this projection? The two-dimensional layer where everything is encoded might be beyond our reach, hidden somewhere our senses and instruments can never access. But does that matter? Because even if we can't see the truth, it might still be there, watching, controlling, and shaping every aspect of your life. What if the next glitch in the system reveals something you're not ready to face? Are you ready to confront the implications of this? Because once you start questioning, there's no turning back. What if the entire universe is just one giant computational system, an invisible machine processing bits of information in real time? It sounds like science fiction, but the concept of digital realism suggests exactly that everything we experience might be reducible to encoded data processed by something or someone. But here's what really makes you tremble. What if that someone doesn't care about our well-being at all? Imagine this. Every atom, every ray of light, every human thought is processed as information in a colossal system. This means that your entire life, your memories, your emotions, even your consciousness, might just be a sequence of binary codes being calculated in real time. What if that déjà vu sensation or that inexplicable coincidence is just a processing error? Bugs in software so complex you can't even fathom its limits. But here's the even more disturbing detail. What if there are optimizations in this system? In modern video games, graphics are only rendered when necessary. Areas outside the player's field of view aren't processed to save resources. What if something similar is happening at the quantum level? Experiments show that particles only assume defined states when observed. This suggests that reality itself is processed on demand, like an immersive game designed to conserve energy. Are we dealing with technical limitations of an advanced civilization? Or is this part of the control? On the other hand, consider this. What if digital realism is just the tip of the iceberg? Scientists like James Gates have discovered codes similar to those used in software error correction in the fundamental equations of physics. Why would that just be a coincidence? What if these codes are intentional clues left by the programmer? Or perhaps accidental cracks in the system that start appearing as the simulation ages? If you've ever noticed something like this, small glitches in reality that no one else seems to perceive, what does it mean? Moreover, reflect on this. What if the very concept of freedom is an illusion within this simulation? Everything you call a choice might just be a predetermined sequence of algorithms, carefully adjusted to create the illusion of agency. Do you really believe your decisions are your own? Or are they just predefined inputs in a system that doesn't allow deviations? What if your entire life is just a scientific experiment, designed to study how different scenarios affect your behavior? Finally, a question that might leave you uneasy. What if we can never escape this system? Even if we discover that everything is computational processing, How could we prove it? What if the programmer, whether human, alien, or superintelligent AI, is always one step ahead, adjusting the variables to ensure we remain trapped? Would you accept living knowing that nothing is real? Or would you try to find a way to hack the code and awaken? Because once you start questioning, there's no turning back. What if the greatest minds in history already knew something you haven't realized yet? What if Plato, Zhuangzi, and other ancient philosophers were trying to warn us, through metaphors and allegories, about the true nature of reality? It sounds like speculation, but what if their ideas were intentional clues left for us to decipher the code centuries later? Imagine this. In the allegory of the cave, Plato describes prisoners chained in a cave, seeing only shadows projected on the wall and mistaking them for reality. Doesn't that metaphor sound eerily familiar? What if those shadows are our own simulated reality, and we, like the prisoners, are trapped in a carefully constructed illusion? Did Plato know more than he was willing to admit? Or was he also part of the simulation, programmed to plant these ideas in our minds? But here's the disturbing detail. What if other ancient philosophies also point to this same truth? In Zhuangzi's butterfly dream, he questions whether he was a man who dreamed he was a butterfly or a butterfly dreaming he was a man. This ambiguity between dream and wakefulness echoes directly in the simulation hypothesis. What if these ancient stories are disguised warnings, trying to make us see that we live in a digital prison? Or are they just coincidences? On the other hand, consider this. What if these ancient theories are connected to the modern concept of simulation? Many of them suggest that reality is a mental construct, an illusion created by the limited senses of humans. Doesn't that sound like a perfect description of a digital simulation? What if ancient philosophies are parts of an encoded manual, left by advanced civilizations for us to eventually awaken? What if every thought, every myth, every metaphor is a hidden clue in plain sight? Moreover, reflect on this. What if the search for truth is intentionally obscured? For the Greeks, the pursuit of truth, with a capital T, was a spiritual and intellectual journey. But what if this journey is blocked by design? What if whoever created the simulation didn't want us to discover the truth too soon? Could all philosophy, science, and art just be programmed distractions to keep our attention away from what really matters? Finally, a question that might leave you uneasy. What if ancient philosophies are the first step to hacking the system? What if, by studying these ideas deeply, we start finding flaws in the code? Plato spoke about leaving the cave and facing the blinding light of truth. Is that light the key to escaping the simulation? Or is it just another layer of the illusion, designed to keep us trapped while we pretend to be free? Because once you start questioning, there's no turning back. What if the laws of physics, those you've always considered immutable and natural, are actually lines of code inserted by an invisible programmer? The concept of intelligent design takes on new contours when viewed through the lens of the simulation hypothesis. What if the universe is a meticulously designed work, with every physical constant and subatomic particle adjusted to create the perfect illusion of reality? But here's what really chills the blood. What if that programmer is still watching? Imagine this. The physical constants of the universe, like the force of gravity or the speed of light, are so precisely calibrated that even the slightest alteration would cause the cosmos to collapse. Coincidence? Or are these constants carefully defined parameters like variables in complex software? What if every atom, every ray of light, every human thought is part of a colossal computational system, designed to keep this illusion running flawlessly? Are we dealing with a cosmic designer, or something even more sinister? But here's the disturbing detail. What if there's a purpose behind this design? Some suggest the universe was created as a scientific experiment, perhaps by an advanced civilization or a superintelligent AI. What if we're just characters in a larger game, unable to see the chains that bind us? Even worse, what if this design includes deliberately inserted flaws to test our reactions? That persistent déjà vu, that inexplicable coincidence. Are they errors in the code or clues left by the programmer? On the other hand, consider this. What if the very concept of fine-tuning is a trap? Experiments show that subatomic particles can pop into existence from nothing and disappear again, like bugs in poorly optimized software. Are these anomalies flaws in the system? Or are they windows to the true nature of reality, trying to warn us that something is wrong? What if these glitches start increasing, small lapses no one can explain? Does it mean the system is about to collapse? Or is someone adjusting the variables while observing the consequences? Moreover, reflect on this. What if we can never escape this design? Even if we discover that we live in a simulation, how could we prove it? What if the programmer, whether human, alien, or superintelligent AI, is always one step ahead, adjusting the variables to ensure we remain trapped. Would you accept living knowing that nothing is real? Or would you try to find a way to hack the code and awaken? Because once you start questioning, there's no turning back. Finally, a question that might leave you uneasy. What if the purpose of this simulation is something much darker than we imagine? What if we're just guinea pigs in an experiment designed to study the evolution of consciousness or even manipulate our choices? Every interaction, every thought, every decision might be monitored and analyzed by whoever is behind it. What if your entire life is just a scientific experiment, designed to study how different scenarios affect your behavior? Do you really believe your decisions are your own? Or are they just predefined inputs in a system that doesn't allow deviations? Are you ready to face the implications of this? Because once you start questioning, there's no turning back. What if your mind is already being prepared, or even conditioned, to accept the idea that we live in a simulation? Movies like The Matrix, series like Black Mirror, and games like The Sims aren't just entertainment. They're distorted reflections of the truth you're not yet ready to face. But here's what really chills the blood. What if these narratives are more than fiction? What if they're disguised warnings intentionally left to guide us, or test us? Imagine this. Movies like The Matrix depict a world where humanity is controlled by machines, trapped in a digital illusion while their minds are exploited as an energy source. It sounds absurd, but what if this story is a direct metaphor for something already happening to us? What if the people around you, perhaps even you, are already connected to an invisible system, unable to perceive the chains that bind them? Are these stories just artistic creations, or are they encoded clues hidden in plain sight? But here's the disturbing detail. What if pop culture is being used as a tool of control? Series like Black Mirror explore dystopian worlds where technology dominates our lives, manipulating our emotions, choices, and even our perception of reality. What if these narratives are designed to normalize the idea that we're losing control? What if they're part of a larger experiment, intended to study how we react to questioning our own existence? Do you really believe these stories emerged out of nowhere? On the other hand, consider this. What if the creators of these works are being influenced by something greater? What if writers, directors, and game developers are receiving inspiration from an external source, perhaps even alien or artificial, to plant these ideas in our minds? Games like The Sims put us in the role of gods, creating and controlling characters within a simulation. What if this is a coded message suggesting that we too are mere characters in a much larger game? What if every decision we make within these narratives is being monitored by whoever is observing? Moreover, reflect on this. What if deepfakes, digital simulacra, and social media are part of this grand experiment? With current technology, we can create hyper-realistic versions of people and events that never existed. This raises an unsettling question. If we can fabricate false realities so convincingly, how can we be sure our own reality isn't equally fabricated? What if fake news and manipulated content on social media are deliberate attempts to confuse our perception of truth, pushing us into a state of constant doubt? Finally, a question that might leave you uneasy. What if pop culture is the first step to hacking the system? What if, by consuming these narratives, we're participating in a larger experiment, designed to guide us, or test us, as we try to unravel the secrets of the universe? Are these stories preparing us to accept the truth, or to be controlled by it? Because once you start questioning, there's no turning back. Are you ready to face the implications of this? Because at this point, it might already be too late. You've reached the end of this journey, but is it really over? By exploring the possibilities that we live in a simulation, from statistical arguments to glitches in reality, ancient theories, and modern influences, we realize that this hypothesis isn't just an intellectual exercise, but an invitation to question everything we know about ourselves and the universe. But here's what really chills the blood. What if, on some deep level, you already know that none of this is real? Imagine for a moment that every detail of your life, from the ground beneath your feet to the stars in the sky, was planned, programmed, and controlled by something, or someone. You trust your senses, but what if they're programmed to deceive you? What if that constant feeling of being watched isn't paranoia, but a truth you're not ready to accept? Have you ever noticed small glitches in the programming? That persistent déjà vu, those inexplicable coincidences, trying to warn you that something is wrong? But here's the most disturbing detail. What if we can never escape this simulation? Even if we discover that everything is computational processing, how could we prove it? What if the programmer, whether human, alien, or superintelligent AI, is always one step ahead, adjusting the variables to ensure we remain trapped? Would you accept living knowing that nothing is real? Or would you try to find a way to hack the code and awaken? Because once you start questioning, there's no turning back. On the other hand, consider this. What if this search for truth is exactly the purpose of this simulation? What if we're designed to question, explore, and eventually awaken? Every interaction, every thought, every decision might be monitored and analyzed by whoever is behind it. What if your entire life is just a scientific experiment, designed to study how different scenarios affect your behavior? Do you really believe your decisions are your own? Or are they just predefined inputs in a system that doesn't allow deviations? Finally, one last question to leave you uneasy. What if this message, these words you're reading right now, is also part of the simulation? Are you being guided towards something? Or has it already begun? Are you ready to move forward? To question, explore, and transform your understanding of the cosmos? Remember, the answer might be closer than you think, perhaps even within yourself. And now, a final reflection. If you continue to ignore these questions, you're choosing to remain in the cave. But if you decide to face them, you're taking the first step toward awakening. The choice is yours. Or was it already made for you?